for the patrons.
As a father of an infant, I'm sure you have your share.
Patrick looks like he has a very
something you really want to share that.
So nowadays, ours is so he learned to crawl just a couple of weeks ago, and we were like, all right, excellent, he's crawling now. So he's going to be crawling for a little while, and he's going to be happy doing that. Well, it lasted about a week, and now he really wants to walk.
Oh yeah.
He's 7.5 months old. What baby walks at 7.5 months?
Genius
A
baby.
very smart one.
Like
I
ones
think
made
so.
by Patrick and his wife.
Like,
I'm starting to resent my
You're
brilliant
getting
lineage.
jealous of your son.
Ellie was trying to walk
Don't
around.
get smarter,
8 or
you're
9
old man.
months.
I love that. What kid starts walking this early? The heck does he think he is?
You should have enjoyed those precious prone months that you had.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. They weren't so,
All right,
he was a crybaby.
All right.
1 minute to air.
We'll pop off.
All right, thanks, Rich.
Bye,
Bye.
Rich. Good
Thanks
to
for
see
dropping
you.
in.
Fantastic.
We'll be sure to return your casserole disc. Do they do that in either France or Finland? Like people come over with stuff when you move into a neighborhood?
Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah, because apparently they don't do it where Roger moved in either. So
no,
I
they
think
look
that's
at
just
you
nice.
angrily and suspiciously.
It's an old
in
fashioned.
France, at least.
Yeah, that's the tradition in France.
Mhm.
That lets you know you're welcome when they look at you angrily and suspicious.
Or actually, maybe not in the whole of France, but definitely
15
in Paris. Ooh, 15 seconds. Do we get like a countdown with
Yes, 10, 9,
music?
5, 4. Oh, Sarah, can you read the thing? 2,
Yeah.
1.
Thanks to everybody who supports Daily Tech News Show directly. To find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/supports.
This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, September 18th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from a studio that's more like a zoo, I'm Sarah Lane.
I noticed you were Scooter Lane yesterday with Jury, and today you're Sarah. Why does Jury get the special treatment that I don't?
Somebody has some eagle ears, doesn't he?
Well, from a dark place in Finland, which the entirety of Finland is dark, I'm Patrick Beja.
And
Figuratively or literally?
from the outskirts of the LA metropolis, I'm Roger.
Another Jay Martin in our Discord suggests the Zudio, Sarah.
Ooh.
Nice.
I had not thought about
We
the
do have
Zudio.
We do have the smartest audience
Really,
in the
really
world.
do. Yeah.
Very funny, at least.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about Google and how they just take stuff away once you get used to it. But let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Well, if you watched the Emmy Awards last night, we were talking about this in the pre-show. For the first time ever, a streaming service, and that's Netflix, tied for most Emmy wins Monday night. HBO shared the top honors. They both had 23 wins each. Amazon also collected 8 awards, including Best Comedy for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. That one got quite a few awards last night. And Hulu took home 4.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is indeed marvelous. I recommend you watch it. The Renault-Nissan-Mitsubishi alliance has agreed to a multi-year deal with Google to produce vehicles with Android infotainment systems beginning in 2021. The system would have the Google Play Store available in Dash, be combined with the car maker's intelligent cloud, and be compatible with non-Android phones.
I'm not going to lie. I made sure I gave that headline to Patrick so that someone could properly say Renault.
Renault, you mean?
Yes, that.
Right.
Qualcomm and Apple began a second trial with the U.S. International Trade Commission. Yes, this is trial number 2, separate from the other one. They got other court cases to boot as well. Qualcomm is asking the ITC to ban some iPhone models from import for patent violations relating to how Intel modem chips handle radio signals in the iPhone, and one relating to how Apple's own processor handles sleep mode. The previous case between Qualcomm and Apple related to battery management and also some other functions of the modem. All right, let's talk a little bit more about Twitter doing something people wanted.
For once, Twitter is now allowing users to uncheck the settings box reading Show the best tweets first, which reverts your timeline to a non-algorithmic reverse chronological order. The company introduced a default algorithmic model in early 2016. Twitter says it's been planning this update for some time based on user feedback and is working on an even easier way. I apologize. On an easier way to switch between relevant and chronological views.
Okay, I will play the part of the ungrateful Twitter user now. Great. How about editable tweets instead? Also,
I think that's
can you maintain TweetDeck maybe too? Okay, I'm sure there's more, but
there are. I think editing
Right.
tweet is.
Why'd you
is
screw up the
biggest
API for
one.
Tweetbot?
Oh, there
That's
you
what
go.
I use.
I mean, this is something that I think everyone thinks they want, but actually they don't. But they think they want it so much that I really don't understand why Twitter doesn't have an easy way of choosing between chronological and algorithmic. And just default to algorithmic if you want to, but giving that option really doesn't seem like a big technological challenge. And I really don't understand why neither them nor Facebook actually, or really anyone that implements algorithmic displays, enables. It seems like a no-brainer.
Well, Facebook has been, I gave up on Facebook being chronological in any sense a long time ago. The fact that Twitter is at least giving people an option is great. This is part of the reason that I have not used web Twitter since they introduced the algorithm. Part of it is because I didn't want to see ads either. And I also like Tweetbot, and I've been supporting this third-party software company for some time. So it's a little bit more complicated, but I found Twitter, it was sort of like a landmine of uselessness because I'm so used to everything being chronological because I prefer to be a news source. Now, not everybody feels the same way, and it's nice that Twitter is now offering the at least the option. And there was some talk on the internet that this was due to somebody tweeting that you could mute certain keywords and kind of get around the algorithm, and Twitter said, we've been thinking about doing this for a long time. So that's not the reason that we did it. We didn't do it just to be reactionary to somebody complaining about this or figuring a workaround. But it's nice to have the choice. How could you not be, happy about that?
I get what Twitter's saying about having this as a setting is not optimal, and they've been taking a long time because they want to get it right. They want to roll it out in a way that makes sense, and so they're doing a lot of testing and being careful. Everybody's like, why don't you just do it? And then when Twitter or Facebook or anybody else just does it, they're like, why'd you do it that way? Why didn't you test it more? Tell us about it earlier. So in a sense, nobody can ever get it right. But I agree with you, Patrick. I think what you want is a toggle or something that says, let me see what it's like in chronological order when I want to. Because most of the time, I think the algorithm's just fine, personally.
Well, I mean, that's exactly what they're offering.
No, they're putting it in settings. I want a toggle like right on the interface, right on the front page. It says like, let me just click that real quick and see what it looks like chronological. Oh, that's it. Okay, great. Let me go right back.
Well, Twitter, you have work yet to do. Mozilla released version 1.0 of Firefox Reality, which is a web browser built for standalone virtual reality and AR headsets. Firefox Reality is now available in the Viveport, Oculus, and Daydream app stores. Mozilla first announced work on the open source browser back in April, so they've been working on this for a little bit of some time, at least publicly. Users can adjust things like screen size or brightness of screens. They can choose an environment for the browser, and Mozilla says upcoming features include support for bookmarks, 360-degree videos, and accounts.
God bless Mozilla. Thank God they're here. But I'm not sure this is going to light the world on fire.
Well,
we need a web browser designed for VR. I think that is a good thing, but yeah.
It's more a question of, do enough people use VR for this to light the world on fire? But if you use VR, I think this is a great thing. As someone who has an Oculus Go, I can't wait to try it out.
I mean, but do you really want to use VR to browse the web?
I don't know until someone tries to make a decent browser. Maybe I do.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, we were talking about the way that we all type differently the other day. And Mozilla said, in many situations, having keyboard access is okay for some folks, but when you're in a VR environment, it's not very helpful. You need a lot of spoken commands, and do you want to be in a browser that is completely black surrounded you? Well, maybe not, especially during the day, that sort of thing. So there's all sorts of reimagining of browser worlds that, as you mentioned, Tom, I don't think we know what that is.
Also,
yet.
I want virtual reality websites. And I don't want to surf the 2D web in VR so much as have a browser that is working so that people will make virtual reality experiences on the web and I don't have to download an app for every experience. Google announced it will give up some control over how the Accelerated Mobile Pages, or AMP, project is managed. Google launched AMP saying it would be part of the open web, but a lot of web developers think that's not really the case. So AMP will no longer have all its final decisions made by Google employee Malte Ubel. Instead, AMP will be governed by a technical steering committee, an advisory committee, and working groups, all containing non-Google employees, alongside some Google employees, of course. The advisory committee already has members from the Washington Post, AliExpress, eBay, Cloudflare, and WordPress maker Automatic. Google has also been working with the W3C separately to create a standard for accelerated web pages that AMP could comply with, but would not be the same as AMP. So they're really trying to say, no, we really want to do open source and open standards correct.
I almost want us not to need AMP. I understand the reason for it, but there is, a purity to the idea that you are going to get, because basically what that means is a formalization of what is already the case, which is a different web on a desktop and on a smartphone. But I mean, this
load
has
on the
enough
desktop too. You can have
I'm
AMP
sorry?
pages. You can have AMP pages load on the desktop. I do all the
Yeah,
time.
but that's not what they're designed for.
No, but it's not like they're separated.
Right. Yeah. I mean, anyway, this is a different thing. It's good that I think if Google wants AMP to become a de facto standard, they need to do this, and they want it to become a de facto standard because they want more people to be able to surf the web more efficiently, which has always been the motivation for 80% of what they do. So this is a logical move. It wasn't very open web-ish before. Now it probably is a little bit more.
Agreed.
Instagram's Explore is getting a personalized shopping channel to let users discover items for purchase and then checking out on the merchant's website. Instagram is also expanding its shopping tags for Instagram stories to all viewers worldwide after and letting brands in 46 countries add the shopping bag icon to stories that users can click through to buy what they saw.
Take that, Pinterest.
We knew that this was happening. I haven't bought anything yet. This is news as far as the functionality that I'm seeing anyway.
Yeah, the category page is the key here, right? It's having a whole shopping section where you can just go and like get your retail therapy, so to speak.
Okay, so when Instagram first introduced ads, I was like, hide ad. I was really good about that for a while, and I was like, they're never stopping. I'll just do my best to ignore them. I do a pretty good job of not looking at ads. Every once in a while, something gets me where I'm like, ooh, that's a beautiful shot of a living room. Oh wait, that's an ad. But I'm not buying anything on Instagram. However, if I was following, let's say a really cool interior designer who had regular items that were in his or her stories that were actually of value to me, Tom, you're moving to a new house. You can think of lots of reasons where this would be like, maybe not all the time, but if it's a more seamless experience and they're going to be ads anyway, then sure, if you want to buy something, make it easier.
This is why I wanted to emphasize the shopping section, because this isn't about ads. This is about people I'm following selling me stuff, or I decide to go to the shopping section and look for things to buy rather than having it pushed to me in my feed. I think that's the bigger difference here.
Well, they're offering both. The functionality
this doesn't really change the ads so much. It's it's saying like, hey, folks who like to shop on Instagram, we're going to make it even easier.
Well, sure, but that's an ad.
Well, okay. When you say ad, I'm thinking the thing that shows up as a picture in my Instagram feed, right? That's not really changing.
Right.
The checkout, I guess, might get a little faster on those, but there's nothing changing there. What is changing is in my Instagram story from the person I actually follow, I can click through and buy a thing because I follow the architect, like you're saying. Or and again, the thing that I think is most significant is I can now go into a tab called shopping specifically because I want to look at the catalog and buy some stuff.
Yeah. I mean, hey, give it its own tab. Great. People want to buy stuff, making it easier.
It sounds like you're like, I don't want to shop on Instagram, right?
No, but I don't shop on Pinterest. Yeah, it's
it feels like this is a play to, as you mentioned in the beginning, Tom, this is basically going for now that they've essentially killed the momentum of Snapchat, they're turning their gaze onto Pinterest and thinking, how can we kill them now? So that's
and also turn a buck or two, right? Because they're gonna
of course.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing a lot of creators that are big on Instagram are very happy with this because they can get a commission, I'm sure, on stuff.
Sources tell CNBC that Amazon plans to release at least 8 new voice assistant powered devices before the end of the year, including a microwave oven, an amplifier, a receiver, a subwoofer, and an in-car gadget of some kind. Anonymous sources. But all of the devices may connect to Amazon voice control, and some reportedly will have it built in as well. Basically, the difference between a light bulb that you could tell your Echo to control versus an Amazon Echo itself. Amazon's expected to announce the devices at an event later this month.
Yeah, so I'm guessing this is total guessing, but like the amp, the receiver, and the subwoofer would be like a Sonos, where you can tell actually Sonos has Amazon voice services built in, so maybe that's a bad example. But these are Amazon made. So they're similar to the stuff that's already out there, like a Sonos, but they're going to be made by Amazon. Some of them you'll tell your Echo, hey, tell the microwave oven to set itself for 2 minutes, right? But you wouldn't be able to talk directly to the oven, let's say. But then you could talk directly to the amp or to the car.
This is such an Amazon approach. All right, we have something good. Where else can you put it? Can we put it in the car? All right, let's do that.
They're not the oven. Let's do it, Patrick. Everybody's been making all of these products already. It's just Amazon's like, oh, those seem to be doing well. Let's make them ourselves.
Right, but if you think of the other big tech companies, companies like Google or Apple or even they seem a lot more deliberate and considerate in the way they introduce new products. Amazon has to be everywhere and try everything and see what sticks. I think it's a slightly different approach.
I do think that the voice controlling world that many of us have become more used to, a couple of years ago, if you would have said a microwave oven, you can tell to set for 1 minute, I'd be like, no one wants that. Now I'm like, I want that.
Do you? Okay.
I do. I mean, I'm not like sitting around in the kitchen being like, if only I could talk to my microwave oven, but I would use it. Hey, if I don't have to walk across the room and, press 4 buttons.
I immediately think of having the Echo tell me like, hey, your microwave is done, right? In case you didn't hear it beeping or something like that. Well, no, I mean, that's something with my Tavala oven. It's in the other room. I don't always hear the beep, but my app goes off, right? So having the Echo, tell you like, oh, your sandwich is ready. That would be kind of cool. No?
Yeah. I don't know. Give it a try.
Yeah, you guys. I thought that would be the least controversial thing I've said all day. You guys seem to think it's the dumbest thing.
No,
ever.
I mean, I think it's. Why not? But also, I think you hear the beep. It's one of those things where I think it's getting put into something you don't really need it for. But maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe we live in different size places.
Well, I also dislike the. Oh, I'm sorry. I understand we're not from the same
Tom's
world.
palatial estate, you can't hear the Tavala oven. when you're
No,
when you
it's just
retire
that
to the parlor.
sometimes I'm like, got music playing or whatever. I don't
Yeah,
know. You've
yeah.
never had that problem. I'm sorry. I have.
I understand what you're saying. I just think it's not going to get a lot of use for this. But
All
is
right,
it going to
'cause
be
I've been
more
wanting to.
Fire phone or more Fire TV? We don't know. I would say Fire TV, Fire phone, but maybe it's more Fire TV.
I've been wanting to create a regular segment called "You're So Smart," where we get our listeners who are way smarter than us to write in and tell us things that
Excuse
they
you,
are very
Tom.
smart about. What's that?
I said, "Excuse you."
Well, they're smarter than me.
Well, or at least have can give us great examples of why some
Yeah.
smart home device that we may not be using is really
So
invaluable.
microwave oven, amp, receiver, subwoofer, in-car gadget, feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com to tell us why they would be useful. We already covered the spread of why they wouldn't be. We don't necessarily hear about that part. Hey, folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. So YouTube's retiring its gaming app. It's been around since 2015. It's lasted a lot longer than other Google YouTube properties, but it's going away sometime next spring. I'm not sure, March, April. They haven't quite decided yet. Its features are supposed to all come to the YouTube app. So the idea is not that they're getting rid of YouTube gaming, but they're just going to fold it back into the YouTube app. So things like game pages, live stream gaming from your phone, they say, we're going to figure that out. We're going to give you an option for that somehow. Things like Super Chat and channel memberships are already in the YouTube app. So they're already moving in that direction. And YouTube director of gaming content told TechCrunch, we have 200 million people that are logged in watching gaming content every single day, 200 million. And the majority of them, quite frankly, are just not using the YouTube gaming app for their gaming experience. They're just watching on the regular YouTube app. In fact, over the last year, more than 50 billion hours of gaming content has been watched, and YouTube has over 500,000 quarterly active live gaming streamers. And TechCrunch cited Sensor Tower showing that there are 11 million total users of the YouTube gaming app. That doesn't mean they're daily active users, but 11 million total. And they consistently continue to install the app across iOS and Android. Although 11 million total out of 200 million logged in tells you something right there. They're also going to be launching youtube.com/gaming. So you can go straight to all the gaming content. That's launched in the US with a global rollout to follow.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, 11 million out of 200 million logged in every day, and 11 million is total.
11
so
million
I think
installed, and
Right.
200 million logged in every day. So
right.
It's not even 11 million logged in. It's a lesser number than 11 million logged in. So a small percentage.
A small percentage. I think a lot of people installed the app and then promptly never used it again.
Right.
At least that's the anecdotal evidence I have on my end.
That seems to be what YouTube's saying as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people are taking this to mean YouTube is retiring YouTube gaming. And as you explained, it is absolutely not the case. It could not be farther from the case. YouTube is very much a gaming destination for pre-recorded videos. And the interesting number that we have for streamers is the one that I think should be noted. They say YouTube has over 500,000 quarterly active live gaming streamers. Quarterly.
Yeah, that's
no one ever talks. No one ever talks quarterly. So I think the really interesting part here is YouTube launched YouTube Gaming at the same time, maybe in a bid to try and make game streaming happen in an effort to take away some of Twitch's thunder. And it seems they haven't really succeeded. To be fair, no one has really succeeded. Facebook is trying the same thing, but the gaming community is very squarely set on using Twitch for live streaming. On the other hand, Twitch is also seemingly not making headway in, or not even really trying to be a destination for pre-recorded content beyond the archives of the streams. So it's interesting to see that we have these two different properties where gaming is incredibly important on both, but they each have their function. And for some reason, people don't want to use either for the purpose that they weren't primarily designed for. I'm not sure exactly why, but I exhibit the same behavior. I never go to YouTube for game streaming. There might be events I'm going to watch, but not game streaming. I always go to Twitch and vice versa. But gaming is still an immense part of YouTube. It's the first, the top one category of videos, period. So it's still very big.
I think that's what YouTube has discovered is, we have a successful gaming we had a successful gaming community already. Trying to create a Twitch competitor called YouTube Gaming just was sort of irrelevant to most people. They're like, well, if it's YouTube, I'll just watch it on YouTube. If they were going to take on Twitch, it might have been smarter, it might have been dumber to create a separate brand that was called, Thumbs or something, and integrate it with YouTube, but really kind of bill it as a Twitch competitor, like a young upstart. I think you would have people install it and use it directly rather than calling it YouTube Gaming, in which people are like, oh, it's on YouTube. Well, I'll just launch YouTube. Like when you search for YouTube Gaming, YouTube, the app comes up and you probably end up just hitting that anyway.
And it's mostly just as good if you do everything through search. So yes, it's good to have a game page that's dedicated to the game you want to see. But if you search for the video, the title of the video you want to see, you're going to get it anyway. As you said, the gaming portion of the app, the entire app actually, is going to be ported over to the main YouTube app. So it's still going to live in there. So essentially, we're kind of making a chicken out of a feather. I think it's a Swedish saying.
Wow, I like that
one. We're making a chicken out of a feather because this really doesn't mean anything other than literally the YouTube gaming app is going away. I think it's resonated with people because YouTube is in the habit of taking things away that people like or that some people like. In this case, it's something that people didn't really like anyway.
I think you're absolutely right. But all I can think of now is I'm never going to say mountain out of a molehill ever again. It's chicken out of a feather from here on out.
I approve.
That was lovely. Also lovely. Everyone who participates in our subreddit, you can submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're also on Facebook. Head on over there, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. Also, Chris Christensen is back with us with some tech to make you better understood when you're overseas.
This is Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler with another Tech in Travel Minute. On my last trip to Central Europe, I was reviewing a new device called a Langogo, which is available on Indiegogo, not to confuse things, but it is a pocket translator. We're getting just a little closer to the Babelfish or to the Universal Translator. This device knows a number of different languages. It has to be connected to a cell system, so you have to either buy through them or have a SIM that you can put into it. But it does do translation, and it does it pretty well. You just speak a phrase into it like, Budapest was a very beautiful city, and it gives you Budapest egy nagyon szép város. And that, of course, is in Hungarian because it does a great variety of languages. I tested it with Hungarian and with native Brazilian Portuguese speakers, and it got pretty good reviews for giving a decent translation and a good accent. The device, again, is Langogo, and I'm Chris Christensen from Amateur Traveler.
Yeah, I mean, it's a dedicated device, but it's also a Wi-Fi hotspot. So it's kind of a cool thing. I'm glad Chris pointed that out because I would have been like, well, you just get an app. But it's got an eSIM in it. It's a cool thing. Go check it out.
Sometimes a dedicated device is something you need. Also, I'd like to say Chris Christensen really seems like more of a professional traveler to me. I don't know if he really qualifies.
He has a day job, I believe. Although Chris, let me know if that's not true anymore. And that was always the thing: is as much as he travels, he still has to keep his day job.
I know.
But you're right. He does travel quite a bit, and he's good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not getting paid for it, which is why.
Good amateur.
Yeah. He's an Olympic athlete traveler. All right, let's check out the mailbag.
Let's do it. Tim wrote in, and every once in a while, we like to highlight somebody who's showing off their gear, and that's DTNS gear. Tim says, "Hello, Tom, Sarah, Roger, and Patrick. Received my great DTNS hat a couple of weeks ago. It even looks good on old geeks here in the cornfields of Northern Illinois. Keep up the great work. Proud to be a boss and a fan, a follower, and a friend since the Buzz Out Loud days.
Ah, Mag Tim Mag. That's awesome. And looking good in that hat, brother.
Looking real good.
Yeah.
Real good. Yeah. If you got gear you want us to show off, keep them coming.
Yeah. Send it to us. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com.
Thanks to Patrick Beja for being with us, even though it's very dark and there's feathers and chickens in Finland. I don't even know what's going on over there, but we're always happy to have you. What's been going on since we saw you last?
Well, listen, first of all, it's very dark here, but you are all my sunshine. So what's been going on? Wow, so much. How long do I have? 30 seconds. All right.
Yeah. It's an Emmy speech, Patrick. Wrap it up.
Oh, it's cue the music because I've got to take a while. So first of all, the Phileas Club. Oh my God, he did it. The Phileas Club. We just recorded an episode called "Tales of Fatherhood," where we talk about being dads. And when I say we have me, who's half in France, half in Finland. Martin, who is half in France, half in Japan, and Bruce, who grew up in Zimbabwe and currently is in Scotland. And we talk about having kids and all of it, the announcement, the pregnancy, the actual delivery, how it went for us, and the cultural differences, and a bunch of other things. So if you think you might be interested, go check that out. The other thing I would like to recommend is Pixels, which is a show about games. And one of the recent episodes we did was a special on the game Dead Cells, where I interviewed two of the developers. They're French and they have a lovely accent. It's the show in English, but we talk about the game, the challenges. It's a huge success. And we also talk about the company, which is a very weird structure where everyone is essentially a co-CEO. They all have the same share of the profits. They all have the same pay. They all have the same decision power, and it works. So if you think that would be interesting, go check that out. It's the Phileas Club and Pixels. It's available at FrenchSpin.com.
Folks, without you, this show would just be a feather. But thanks to our patrons, it's a whole chicken. It's a freaking barnyard full of chicken.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Rotisserie.
Please join in the fun if you haven't already. Don't be left out in the cold. There's all kinds of cool stuff going on in our Discord, in our Slack, and just on Patreon itself. Check it out, patreon.com/DTNS.
If you've got feedback, we'd like to hear it. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Tinbeck says he lives in a 1-bedroom apartment, and even with his bedroom door open, he doesn't hear anything from his kitchen. I'm not crazy. Okay, I'm crazy, but that's not why.
Right. You're crazy in different ways. It's nothing to do with what you're making for dinner.
The doctor did not diagnose me because of my kitchen.
I really do feel, though, that there are things that I've gotten used to voice activated responses, and it doesn't always work, and there's a long way to go. But this is something that I would have poo-pooed a couple of years ago.
No,
and,
I think your point got lost. I apologize for that.
Well, yeah, you got a handful of groceries, or I don't know, something's going on, and or my microwave does this thing where it's like 100 years old. So if I set something in there for a minute, and then the minute goes by, it beeps like every 5 seconds until I take that thing out of the microwave, which is makes me crazy because sometimes I'm like, I know, I put it in there a minute ago. Just give me a break. If I could do anything just to be able to like call to it, stop beeping from the next room, I would be happy to do that. Thank you, Amazon, in advance.
Well, and I think you're right. Like I could throw something in the microwave, shut the door, and then without having to think, just say, set timer, start microwave for 2 minutes.
You're right.
Yeah, it's kind of, I know it doesn't seem like much, but that could be kind of nice, especially if you didn't have to pay a lot extra for that microwave And it's not a voice assistant itself. It's just controllable through your Echo. Like, yeah.
A lot of the voice stuff to me, besides wanting to play a specific song or look up something, is kind of silly. It's sort of, like, what's the weather today like? Amazon assistant's name. And I do that every morning. First thing I do when I wake up. And it's like, was I looking up the weather in a Chrome tab every day? No, I wasn't. But it's so easy to figure out what the weather's going to be like outside. I find it convenient enough that it has become part of my routine.
I have definitely.
Those are the little things that
I have asked my Echo what time it was getting out of the shower. We have an Echo Dot in the bathroom, and I'll be like, hurrying up, like, I got to get ready. And so before I can even put my watch back on, I'm like, what time is it? Just to let me know where I am in my day.
Yeah.
Which seems like a silly thing if you told someone and you can ask it what time it is. Like, I got a clock for that too.
Yeah, they're like, are you like that clueless about what time it is? 10 minutes?
I do that with Siri all the time when my hands are busy. And my phone is on the desk. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's these little conveniences that I think sound trivial, but after you get used to them, you're like, if this went away, I would really miss it.
Maybe. And on that note, I will thank you very much for welcoming me in your midst, and retire.
Thank you for welcoming us into yours.
Thank you for being in our midst.
Let's go back to the chickens. That worked better.
Chicken.
Should the name of the show be Making a Chicken?
Yes, make it so.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It has to be.
Actually, a little bonus for people listening to the post show. I actually know this expression not from my wife or the many Swedish-speaking people who I frequent daily here, but from the game Overwatch, where the character Torbjörn says, "You're making a chicken out of a feather."
And you've confirmed that this is a real saying, not just something they made up at Overwatch.
I think I did at some point.
Okay.
But I might wait.
For sure. Yeah.
Wait,
I still love it. Either way.
Is it the same thing as mountain and molehill? Because that would be like you're overreacting.
Yes, that's what it is.
So that's what, great. I'm going to start saying that, and people would be like, "What? That's not the same."
You're like, "What? You've never heard
That's
that?
what you think.
You not play
I guess you
Overwatch?
haven't
Are
been
you
to
not Swedish?
Sweden.
What's wrong with you?"
So,
don't you play Overwatch?
So I just Googled this, and on Reddit they have a couple of additional ones that Torbjörn also says. Making a chicken out of a feather. You're making something much larger than it is. Another one is, don't get caught with your beard in the letterbox. Avoid being caught red-handed.
Gotcha.
So, beard in the letterbox is an interesting
trying to steal
choice.
Someone's mail.
Yeah. Maybe. And let's not buy the pig while it's still in the bag. So.
Pig in a poke. Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. There you go.
Well, counting chickens before they're hatched.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Although that's a little bit more like, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. Well, pig in a poke, buy the pig while it's still in the sack is kind of the same general sentiment.
A little bit. Or actually it's more, don't
count your chicken.
No, it's more like don't commit to it before you know what it is.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, there's a subtle difference, I guess. But it's the general thing of don't count on something until you're sure.
I mean, it might be, it might not be, Tom. Don't make a chicken out of a feather. It doesn't matter.
Listen, it's a pig in a poke. Something.
I don't think
a poke is a sack. So if you ever hear a pig in a poke, that's like it's an old scam from the Middle Ages where they'd sell you a heavy looking poke, like, yeah, there's a pig in here because pigs always come in pokes, you know that. And then you get it home and open it up and it'd be full of
you mean like
stones.
You mean like
make sure your poke has a pig in it.
Like a laptop in a FedEx box that's remarkably only $30.
Right. Where they had rocks in or they had rocks in the iPhone boxes a couple of times. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Many hugs to all of you, and I'll talk to you next week. Oh, wait. Is it next week? Is it the last?
Yes. You...
Oh, so I'm off next week.
You're not
here. I will see you in 2 weeks.
Go enjoy your chicken and feathers.
Excellent.
I'll be in a whole new place. I'll have lived in my new place for weeks by the time I see you next.
That is amazing. I expect comfortable comfiness out of you.
I'll do it for you.
Excellent. Bye, Tom. Bye, Roger. Bye, Scooter.
Bye,
Bye.
Patrick.
Bye, Patrick. Oh,
Come to the
the
land of the
fixer
ice
in
and
IRC reminds me of the saying that it's been explained to me, but I still don't get it. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
Yeah.
I don't.
you know-
I don't get it.
Oh, you
No,
don't
it's
get that?
I know what it means, but I don't get the saying.
Well, no, the idea is you already have a bird in your hand. Just
Right?
because to get two birds in the bush, you would have to let go of the one to grab the other two.
What
But that's not a
bush,
sure
though?
thing. Huh?
Where's the bush?
Oh, it's just think of it like the Australians use it. Like a bird in the
Oh.
hand is worth two out there somewhere.
Oh, so it's not like the shrub that the bird lives in.
No.
Okay.
It's like coffee in your mug
yeah,
is worth more than coffee down at the coffee shop
because you've
still gotta
already
go
got
get
it.
Yeah.
It's about
Okay.
opportunity cost or loss.
Okay. Well, now I know.
And knowing's
have
half
we
the
Learn something
battle.
new every day.
milestone?
That's
Have
right.
Have we successfully explained this to you?
Yeah, I still think it's a really weird saying, but I say it sometimes, and I'm
It
like,
is a
I
weird
know
saying.
what I'm saying, and I know why I'm saying it. I understand the connotation, but
I assume it goes back to bird hunting somehow.
Right.
Like, look, you've got one. If you try to get those two in the bush and you
I
put
just think
that
if
one
it
down
was
to get
a
them,
bird in the hand is worth two in the wild,
yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, the idea is
Because I
that
think of a
you have
specific
something
bush.
already and there's an opportunity to get more, but that opportunity comes with the cost of not having the one in your hand anymore. Right? It's like, oh, you have
Mhm.
you have $10 and you have a chance to make 20,
sure.
but you definitely have $10.
Yeah,
It's more
and this is
valuable
why
to-
I don't like gambling.
It's like lottery tickets.
I
I
have the
think
$10. Yeah,
It took me a long
$10 is in
time.
my hand.
It took me a long time to understand have your cake and eat it too.
Okay, so
don't know.
that's another one. That's another one. That's a good example where you're
Well,
like,
I get it.
yeah. have it. So
it's
So
the
it's,
it's the whole-
it's horribly phrased. Again, it's antique phrasing that causes the confusion. The
Right.
saying is, it's like wanting to have eaten your cake but still have it on the plate in front of you,
right.
which is not nearly as snappy as have your cake and eat it too. Not snappy at all.
I want cake.
I do not.
Now we want cake.
I want a derby cake.
That doesn't sound
What?
good to me today.
Derby
A carrot cake a really good slice of carrot cake.
What's a derby cake?
Yeah, it's a derby cake.
Derby cake. Here, I'll show you.
Well, you want one. You can't
Hey,
explain.
no,
that.
I'm trying to pull up a picture for you. Jeez,
It's like, well, I don't know what it is. Let me research.
I don't
it.
know.
like-
It's
you're
good,
like-
though.
you're so.
I'm not looking at the video, so pulling up a picture is not going to
Oh.
do me any good. I have. You guys
It's
don't
This is a
realize
cake
this.
you get when running with horses.
So,
My entire screen is filled with editing stuff right now.
all right.
Let's
Well,
see.
it's a very delicious chocolate cake with real cream in the middle.
Ah.
Very delicious.
Oh,
It's
derby
good.
Cake. Sounds
Is
And
it a
then you-
particular brand of cake?
No, it's a style of cake. I used to get it all the time for birthday parties, including mine.
Still showing it here. Oh, that's a no. I've never seen that before. That's amazing.
They're really good.
Okay.
I used to hate cakes, not like hate them, but like if I had the opportunity to get a pie or something, I'd.
Oh yeah, that's me
Fine,
now.
But derby cakes are like, okay, hold on. Now, like, I don't even like velvet cake.
Would you say derby cakes changed the game?
That just looks like a cake to me.
Oh, but it's not just what it looks like. Cakes are not just about looks; they're about eating.
No,
You
but
can't judge a cake by its cover.
okay, fine. That looks like it tastes like a cake.
Yes,
It's a cake with layers.
yes, it does not taste like chicken and dumplings.
If it no, but no, if a derby cake is specifically chocolate and vanilla cream, got it. If it's about layers of different types of
it's
sweet
layers, it's
things,
layered. It's not just a cake with the cream. It's layered, but it's layered with like the one I used to get had strawberries and bananas like as a layer
uh-huh.
covered in the cream, and it's not frosting. It's like whipped cream, which is
See,
even
and that's where my
Just
love of
sounds like a
pie is that
cake.
they're generally fruit pies more often than not. and those are the ones I like. So a cake with fruit in it suddenly does become more appealing to me.
Like when I used to tell my wife, I told Jen, like, I loved my old birthday cakes when I was a kid, partly because of nostalgia, but my mom would get from Chinatown, but they were these round white cakes and they would have cut cling peaches inside and one giant cling peach on top. I loved it.
That sounds really good.
Cling peaches are pretty the tinned ones, right? The ones. That
Yeah,
come
I
out of the
assume
can.
they grabbed them from a tin, but
Yeah,
like,
'cause
you know,
they're super moist from being in all that syrup.
well, you can get them now that's just in juice, so it's not as unhealthy.
Agree.
I guess. I want cake. I want dessert. The problem is I need to eat real food too. Decisions.
Yeah, I had that thought last night where as I ate my favorite ramen, and I'm just halfway through it, I'm like, Sarah, you could have just made the broccoli that was in the fridge with some rice and like plenty of seasoning that you have at the ready. But you didn't. You just got ramen delivery instead.
It's my fault.
Maybe you want to eat more vegetables.
It's my fault.
This is
there because there's a limited amount of willpower in the world. And yesterday I went to the new house and I was gonna go to this little restaurant nearby that has pie, and I was gonna be all decadent and treat myself because Eileen was out at a screening. And instead I got lazy and said, you know what, I'm just gonna eat the leftover chicken that's in the fridge here. And that's what I did. And because I did that, it took away one opportunity from the universe to eat something out of your fridge instead of ordering food. And so you were stuck. You had to order food.
Well, thanks for nothing, Tom.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I don't think
maybe
is
you'll
that
just
true.
Think about.
There's a
other people
limited
little bit
amount
more
of
tonight.
willpower to be.
Willpower is finite.
Don't ruin
Roger.
the joke, Roger.
Well, I mean, the whole thing with the Green Lantern is his ring is powered by the force of willpower throughout the universe. It's one of the spectrums,
Right.
the power of the power rings. I mean, if you limit it, I don't know.
Well, there's a limited amount of power that can go to his ring too.
That's true. But, it's infinite. Like, he's using it all the time. Granted, he has to recharge through his lantern battery, and he has to charge that through the great battery on Oa. I still want a cake, though.
Well, folks,
carrot
you
cake,
deserve
maybe.
cake too. So if you're watching the video, we're going to wrap up. You go get yourself a slice of cake or pie, or perhaps just a granola bar, whatever suits you the best. Audio people, stick around. There's more to come.